Hey guys, this is Fuberduge, and now we're finally going to combine all these guys into Menasor mode. And you might already see I put some Decepticon stickers on these guys because I thought that'd just make them look that much cooler. So I'm just going to show that off real quick. For breakdown, you can obviously see that one right there. And flipping this over, he's got one right here. So I thought that looked kind of cool. And for drag strip, he's got one on his seat. And raising up his head, he's got one right here. So, there's drag strip. And for a Wildrider, he's really loose. There is one right there, and then there's one in the upper right-hand corner. And for dead end, he has one right there, and one right in the center of his chest. And then for Motormaster, you can pretty much see all of them from here. You got two on his semi-truck cab mode, and then you got one right there. So there is, I just bought my camera. There are the stickers that I put on these guys, and I thought that that just made them look that much more cooler. And I'm going to add like some of the details, like I know he has a yellow strip going here, and he has a red piece right there. So I'll add that stuff later, and then obviously I'm going to add faces later. I'm not going to make them out of Legos, because I want them to look realistic, because I plan on using these guys in my movie. So that should be pretty cool. But to actually get them into Menasor mode, you have a lot of pieces down right here, and it kind of looks like a cluttered mess, but there's like no stray pieces. The only pieces that aren't included are his legs, which I'll get into later. So to put them in Menasor mode, I'm going to go through each one of them to do it. So what you want to do with breakdown first is you want to first detach this, and then just fold this all the way down. And then we can set him off to the side, and I'll show off some of his pieces. So, he does come with this piece, which is a foot, and I haven't really found a use for this piece. I suppose I could, like, make it a backpack or something like that. But, what you want to do to attach this is there are pegs along here, and that just pegs right into the front here. And I did go through many trials of trying to make a foot with articulation, but the weight was just so much that it wouldn't hold, so I had to make it sturdy and stiff like that. So he's starting to look like a foot a little bit more. And then what you want to do is take this piece, which is kind of a ratchet joint piece. You can just connect this right to his face. Excuse me. And then once you're done with that, you have this piece right here, which is blue, and then you just pop this right over it to keep it secure so he won't like move around or anything. So I believe that's actually it for his leg mode. So he is done. Now for the other leg, which is Wildrider, he's kind of not stiff, as you can see. So I had to make a few pieces so he would be stiff. So Menasor won't flop around. So I did add these pieces. They become kind of the heel spurs for Menasor, but kind of like you could make it into a spoiler in his car mode, but I just like to put it down because I don't think he had a spoiler in car mode anyway. So you just want to flip these up, and then you can take this piece off because this becomes the actual foot. And then you kind of want to rotate this just back like that much. And then this can just peg on right here. There's obvious peg holes and then pegs right there. This just goes on like so. Just like that. So what you want to do after that, it's falling off on me. Sorry about that, guys, but anyway, there it's back on. And then you want to take this piece right here, and you can see this is still kind of floppy. To kind of connect that, you want to take these pegs right here and peg it to the last ones right there, and then that just pegs into his chest to keep everything nice and secure and stiff so it doesn't turn anymore. So I just did that so he wouldn't move. Unfortunately, it's kind of cumbersome because I didn't really want a whole lot of parts forming to be involved, but unfortunately with combiners you kind of have to do that. So next we want to do is there's a space right here on the back of his head, and this just pegs right onto there. And this piece was breaking off on me. But what you can do is just kind of angle this enough so this just pegs right onto there and stays secure. So we have another foot done, and then you kind of just want to put it on the ground and then put the heel spurs however you want them. So there is another leg done. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you can take drag strip here, and his legs are already kind of loose, you can see. But what you can do to kind of fix that is this pegs right on to here, kind of keeping the whole thing secure. So I'll get into the hand articulation later, but it will bend at the elbow, which is kind of cool. And then what you want to do is just kind of fold this down so the wheels don't really move much of anywhere. And so that's pretty much all you want to do to transform him. And then the last thing you want to do is just kind of peg this right here into this orange strip. So they have that. Actually, probably want to attach this instead. That'd be a lot better, actually. Yeah. There we go. This piece is for something else. So we are done with drag strip and the last limb. We come to dead end. What you want to do with him is you can kind of rotate this all the way back and then rotate this forward, just like you would transform the actual front end for his robot mode. But that's all you want to do for the transformation. And then what you want to do is take this piece and just kind of peg it on right along here. And so that will attach to Motormaster back there. And then you can take this hand, and there's a hole right here, and this just pegs right into there. And you don't want to put it in all the way because the clearance gets screwy if you do that. So there you have another arm. And now we come to Motormaster, who is the most strenuous of all of them. So I'm just going to set all these guys kind of off to the side so we can fit Motormaster in here. So sliding him forward, he's quite cumbersome to change. He is very parts-formish when it comes to putting him in Menasor mode, which kind of sucks, but it does end up looking a lot better when they're all combined and everything. So, unfortunately, I couldn't find a way to implicate the legs because they're so hunk and big. I mean, so huge. So, I couldn't make them into a backpack because he would be way too back heavy. So, I just totally excluded them. So, before we get to the legs, because that is really a pain in the butt, you want to detach the arms completely, not like that, but like this. And so, just put that right there. And then you can detach this one as well. And you don't want this blue attachment in there as well. So, plugging that right back in, you can just set the arms off to the side. And then, what you want to do next is you can kind of rotate his head back just like you would be transferring it back into cab mode. Just like so, and this came off. So I was kind of fiddling with this thing, but I finally got it in because it just didn't want to stay together. So now what you want to do is you can take these arms, and what you want to do is coming around here, you want to take this blue bit off the top there, and this will help peg this whole thing on. So you want to peg these on like one away from this blue bit right there. And then you can take this and put it on to kind of keep it in place, because otherwise it'll just fall off like all the time. So that kind of gives him some more mass back here, which I thought was kind of cool, and a piece just came off. That's the one thing that kind of stinks about Legos, is pieces like to fall off all the time. That's why I don't like to transform this guy a whole lot. But anyway, same thing over here. This blue peg was on here, but again, I just take it off, and then I put this on, and his legs are trying to fall off on me. So putting this on right here, and you can't see that very well, so I'll try to lean him down, but he might want to fall apart. But anyway, putting this on here, that stays fairly securely. I mean, not like too securely, but it stays so it doesn't, like, if you move them like this, because they would just fall off just like that. So then you can kind of position these the way you want. So there is that. Okay, so then what you want to do is you can try to detach the legs, and this is the part where this gets to be a really big pain in the butt. So I'm going to try to do this as carefully as possible, but you want to ratchet these out, and you want to be really careful because the backpack has fallen off a few times when I've done this, and there goes that piece. So anyway, Legos are just really cumbersome, which kind of stinks, but it looks cool, so that kind of makes up for it. But now that I have the legs out, the goal is to try to attach these joints right there. So I'm going to lay this thing down, because otherwise everything will just start falling off. So I'm going to try to raise my camera so you can actually kind of see what I'm doing for you. There we go. So they're really tight. So I have to be really firm, but kind of subtly gentle. And this one I have no problem taking out. It just comes off like nothing. But this one always gives me a lot of trouble, except for that time. Of course, whenever I review it, it never gives me trouble. So, yeah, we can just set these off because we're totally done with these. So, then what you can do is, actually, I think we're done with him. So, yeah, I won't add these two pieces till we're done, and I'll show those off later. Oh, wait, one thing I forgot. You want to add this piece to right here, and actually, what you want to do is flip this whole backpack up, and we can just kind of put it like this so it won't flop around or anything. But coming around to the back here, there's a blue piece right here. You want to take that off, and then you can put this piece and put it right here on the very edge. And then this just comes on to keep that locked in and secure so the arm or drag strip won't fall off. So, and then something already fell off. Yeah, once he's transformed, he doesn't fall apart, which is very nice. So, I think we got it. They're all ready to be combined. So, putting my camera back down and raising it back up, we're going to combine these guys. So the first thing you want to do is attach the legs, because that's the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to take breakdown here, because I started off with him, and it just pegs right on to here. And see, pegging him on can be a pain in the butt too. Sometimes, oh, there we go. So there we have that, and then this piece is already coming off on me. It's just, there we go, okay. Same thing with Wildrider. And you gotta find the hole, otherwise it won't go in. And sorry if my arm was in the way. But now his legs are done and he's standing. So that's cool. And then just bringing him around over here, there's a hole right here that you want to put this peg right here into. So I'm just gonna bring him back around because he's gonna start to get top heavy, so I'm actually gonna have to lean him forward a bit on his joints. So, plugging this in, and a piece came off. Just putting this back on. He's kind of a pain in the butt to put in as well, but it does stay. And then you want to kind of ratchet this out so it kind of flares out a bit. So obviously now he's leaning to this side because he has more weight on this side. But once we put drag strip on, that problem will be solved. So you remember that we put this here. So you want to take this joint right here and put it right in. And you got to be really careful because you don't want the backpack to come off. And so this can be kind of tricky. And see, I might just have to do this separately, so maybe I shouldn't have detached it. There we go. So just putting this right back on drag strip. There we go. And so now all of his limbs are attached. And this is bugging me, so I'm just going to take this totally out of shot. So, yeah, he's finally starting to take humanoid shape, which I think he looks pretty good so far. So then what you want to do is take the chest plate, which has a really nice Decepticon logo. Very metallic and shiny, the background is anyway. So there's a piece right here, and then there's this piece right here that you just want to peg onto there. So it fits on perfectly. So there's the chest piece, and last but not least, you have the head, and I'll get into the head later. But I don't know how well you can see. I might have to raise my camera so you can see up here. But right here, this piece can attach there. So I have to be very careful because I don't want the whole thing to fall apart. There we go. And there is the head. Putting this back down so you can get a better look at him. Move my camera back. There is my Lego Menasor. So here we are, and he's fully transformed, and I'm just going to say right now, he's really big. And to get an idea of just how big he is, I have a few size comparisons to bring out. First, I'm going to bring out some old G1 bots. Here is G1 Bombshell. Here is G1 Shrapnel. And here is G1 kickback. So, yeah, he's really big, which I like. I know that he was kind of supposed to be the smallest of the combiners, but he's my biggest combiner now. So putting those guys kind of there just so we can fit some more in. Here he is with Armada Starscream. And that's like a really good scale right there, I think. So he works with classics figures and stuff like that. And here is another classics figure. Again, they're about the same size. There's Generations Thrust. And, yeah, again, he's just really big. And to get an idea of how he scales with Masterpiece, here he is with Masterpiece Prowl. And again, I think that works. Not as well as the Generations figures do, but I still think that works. So taking him off. This one doesn't really work. Optimus Prime. He still is taller, but not tall enough. So taking Prime off. And, of course, G1 Skywarp. So there are the size comparisons. Oh wait, there's one really important size comparison. A very, very important. So let's see if I can move him without knocking him over. And he does stand very well once he's all combined. He doesn't have any problem standing. Here he is with G1 Devastator and his upgrades. So yeah, this guy is very big. I mean, I think he's bigger than the Combiner Wars Menasor. He's about as tall as TFC Hercules, actually, I think. So, yeah, he's very big. So, yeah, there is that. And I believe he's about as tall as Masterpiece Megatron. Unfortunately, I don't have him anymore because I sold him because I'm getting the new X-Transbots Apollyon. Still waiting for the pre-order, and I'm really excited for that. But I believe he's the same height because I've had Masterpiece Megatron in hand, so there we have that. Oh, one thing I did forget to do was to mention his articulation. So, here we go. His head can rotate, but not 360 degrees, just because there's kibble back here. His arms, both of them can move in and out, but about that far. And then they can rotate. This one doesn't stay very well because it's not a ratchet, but it can rotate 360 degrees. This one can also rotate 360 degrees, but this one stays because it has a ratchet. And I usually use this one to hold his gun, and we'll get to that in a little bit. His legs, he's got ratchet joints at his thighs. He can move in and out. Oh, one thing that, oh, this just came off. One thing that drag strip can do is bend at the elbows. So, oh, he's falling apart on me again. So, anyway. Let's get this piece right back on here. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. So he does come forward and he can bend at the knee. It's not really that big of a knee, but he does bend at the knee. So that's about it for the articulation. I have to get him to stand again. There we are. Oh, and his hands can rotate like this, and he has individually articulated fingers. And for his gun, to hold it, here's his gun. This was a piece on Motormaster, if you remember from my last review. So, just putting this up, and then you have to move him according to his joints, just so like it feels like he's going to stand. So, yeah, he's kind of iffy with his standing, but yeah, he does stay relatively nicely. So, this gun does have a peg hole right here, and there's a peg right there, so you can just peg this on, close up his fingers, and he can hold his gun. And I didn't make a sword, but I will make a sword. So don't worry about that. I will make a sword. So there is that. I'm pretty satisfied with this. I mean, I think it looks fairly decent to, or fairly faithful to the old G1 model. But yeah, I'm going to use them in the movie, so that's cool. So I believe that's everything. Please subscribe, check out our Facebook page, and I want to thank you for watching. This has been Fuberdooge. Keep playing, guys.